believe you're good to go.
And then you'll start it, Pastor?
I believe so, yes.
It's your show. Yeah, it's your call. Yeah.
All right, I'm out.
Welcome, everyone, and we are very appreciative to come to you today with Congresswoman Dr. Bonnie Watson Coleman, who, as we say in the church, thought it not robbery to come by and discuss some issues with us concerning voting. And we're very, very grateful for her. And hey, ma'am, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, you see I'm smiling a lot because I'm very, very humbled and appreciative to be in the same forum with you, and for you coming down and talking with us, because there is a great need for understanding here for all of the people here in the church. So thank you so very much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure and my blessing.
Excellent. I know that you are pressed for time, so we're going to ask a few questions just to get some understanding here in the congregation around the people. So if you don't mind, we're just going to go right into it. Is that okay?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
At your disposal here, sir.
Okay, excellent. Question number one. Given the COVID-19 crisis, many voters are going to be voting by mail for the first time. Can you tell us how this works? And when it's and if it would be too late to vote actually by mail?
No, it is not too late to vote by mail. And I tell you, we are encouraging people to vote as soon as possible, to vote early, because we want those ballots to be processed so that they can be open and counted on election night. So you can vote by mail. Obviously, you can put it in the mailbox or take it to the post office. But there are drop boxes, very secure voting drop boxes throughout the counties. There's, there are several probably in Burlington. You can go to your county website and find out the exact location. When you received your ballot, you probably had information as to where the drop boxes are. So you can put your ballot in the drop box, and it gets picked up every day, and it just taken to the office so that it could be processed, ready to be processed. And so I wanted to just remind people, make sure that there's an inner envelope that covers your ballot, and that inner envelope is placed inside of the envelope that has the self-addressed stamp on it.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want any naked ballots, because, this is such an important election. I mean, I talk about the fact that our democracy, fundamentally our democracy, is on the line here. And I was talking to my friend Andy Kim,
Yes,
who actually represents you all in Burlington County, and he and I are just so very encouraging of people getting out there and voting early.
right. And we appreciate him as well. He's very involved and engaged. Me and the wife just returned, and when we returned, we had our ballots that was sent to us by mail, and we're going to take this very serious as well. We're going to sit down and we're going to do this as a family and make sure that it's done properly, because, as you said, our democracy is on the line, and it's very important that we exercise our right to vote. So,
Absolutely. And I did mine. I filled my ballot out on Facebook so that I could share it with people, because sometimes they're intimidated by all of the directions. So you might want to think about sharing your filling out the ballot with your congregation.
right. Okay, excellent. Okay, question number two. If someone chooses to go and vote on November 3rd, can they go to the poll and actually vote?
Yes and no. So if you take your ballot that you already had and you filled it out and you take it election day, you can take it to the polls. If you don't have a ballot in hand and you want to vote on election day, they'll give you a paper ballot. You will vote. That ballot will be considered a provisional ballot, and it won't get counted until after all of the mail-in ballots have been counted. And you cannot use a voting machine unless you are handicapped, because they're only for those individuals who cannot access voting through the paper ballot. So we urge people to put their ballots in drop boxes now. Don't wait till election day, and take them to the polling center that happens to be open in their district.
Okay. Question number 3. Recently, the law changed about whether a person on parole or probation can vote. Can you explain those changes to our people, please?
Absolutely. This change is such a blessing. When Governor Murphy, signed this into law, New Jersey became one of the 19 states in the nation to recognize that these individuals have paid or are paying their debt to society, and they should be re-enfranchised. So if you're on parole or if you're on probation, you are eligible to vote as long as you have registered to vote. And, you know, given the sort of history of the over-incarceration of African Americans, particularly African American men, this is really important to our community, because in New Jersey alone, it's tens of thousands of people are now eligible to cast their votes in what I consider to be the most consequential election of my generation.
Right. Okay, ma'am. You also, this is been elected to your 3rd term in the House of Representatives of 12th District. And I would like for you, if you could, to expound a little bit, because we have a lot of our individuals that have health issues, and the anxiety is very high. And I know from reading your bio that you are a cancer survivor. So to God be the glory for that as well.
God be the glory.
The importance, because since you've been there, you've done so very much. You've not gone to Congress and just sat there and just took on the title, but you have been engaged with all of these issues. Now, how can you and how can we start receiving less anxiety and more understanding about what's going on with the Affordable Care Act as well?
So, Pastor, you know, that's a great question. And it starts with your supporting candidates that represent your values and are willing to stand up for you, whether it is access to affordable health care, social justice, equal justice under the law with regard to policing, whether it's access to jobs, universal income, all of those things that really are important to ensure that no family in the state of New Jersey, or in the whole country, ever falls below a certain floor. And so that's why voting is so vitally important. Right now, there is a case that's going to be heard within a week after the election that the current administration has advanced through the courts. That would eliminate things like pre-existing conditions, would eliminate your children up to the age of 26 being on your health insurance, and really diminish access to health care for hundreds of thousands of people. That's not the route that we should be going.
Yeah.
This pandemic showed us how important it is to have access to health care. Black folks in particular, we have, when someone else catches a cold, we catch pneumonia.
Yes.
So we haven't had the kind of access to healthcare before the pandemic that we needed to have. And so we need to work with those who are going to be elected and represent our interests and fight for access to healthcare. It is not a privilege, it is a right.
Right. And I'm glad you said that. In the church, we have a theology that we study. It's called intersectionality theology, where you have to present your argument on multiple platforms. And I appreciated the way that even how you have been called to present yourself on the issue of I am an African American, I am a woman, I am a mother, and you're engaged on all of these levels. And it really excites me, because once you finish the battle on one arena, it does not mean that the others are going to be equally engaged. And you have to go and re-engage the same issue on so many levels. How has that been for you? I know it's an exhausting battle, particularly because of who you are, but you're in there. And I would love for you to give some encouragement to us when we face these same issues and we seem like we win, and then we get hit with another issue, but we have to go on. We have to keep it moving.
Yep, that's another reason why it's important who you're going to go out there and support when you vote in this election, because you need to make sure that people that you're standing behind, you have expectations of them and that they understand what your needs are. Of course, this has been a very frustrating period for us, both because we have an administration that hasn't paid a lot of attention to our community and our needs, and just even working family needs and poor family needs and healthcare and all those kinds of things. And the Senate hasn't been helpful either. So you you got to know that there's a purpose in everything that you encounter. I'm
Yes.
that person that loves Romans 8:28. All things work for the good of those who love
All
God
things,
and are
yes.
called according to his word. I'm telling you, that's gotten me through so many of otherwise frustrating situations. So I say we just hang in there. I remind people that this is a government that's of, by, and for the people. And at the end of the day, if we, the people, stay together, we'll get our government back.
Yes,
And we'll
ma'am.
make sure that our government addresses the needs of everybody. And that we won't leave our frail elderly out on a limb. We won't dismiss the needs of our young children, whether or not it's in education or in healthcare or safe families. And we'll make sure that criminal justice reform is equally applied.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. You go from one thing to the next. You got to look at what an agenda of equality and equity and fairness look like. And it goes from housing to employment to healthcare, to encountering the police, to sentencing, to alternatives to sentencing, all of those things. And then we need to not forget the fact that protecting the environment is very important for our community.
Very important. Yes.
Especially when we live in densely populated cities. Our children have a tendency to have more problems with asthma than others, and we have a responsibility to protect them. So I have always believed that government has a very distinct purpose in the lives of those people that it's supposed to represent. And as long as I have voice and God gives me the capacity and people give me the vote to do it, I'm going to stand up there and I'm going to fight for and give voice to those who I think would otherwise be marginalized.
Very appreciative of it. You are a national leader, Jersey Strong, and you represent us very well. Now, as a person of color myself and dealing with people of color, we're really not interested in handouts from the government more than we are in job creation. And I know that you're really involved in that. And our economy and our state really needs to rebuild after this COVID disaster that we have gone through. So what are some things that you're working on right now that are going to rebuild our economy and have jobs come back into our communities?
Oh, well, thank you for asking that, because I'm going to talk about the fact that I believe the most important thing we need to be doing is eliminating poverty. You
Yes.
eliminate poverty by making sure that people have a guaranteed income and they have jobs that are guaranteed to them. And I've sponsored legislation on both of those issues: a guaranteed income
Yes,
and
ma'am.
access to a job, and with benefits and with leave. I've also sponsored legislation that says to these large corporations, when you give your executives bonuses and you get to write off certain tax benefits because you do that, well, you're going to have to do some profit sharing with employees in order to be eligible for those tax write-offs, because we need to elevate our entire communities. And then I think of this time very much like Franklin Delano Roosevelt confronted the need to bring our country back together and to look at the whole of government and in creating jobs and opportunities and fixing infrastructure. We need a very vibrant infrastructure program that does things from schools to our roads and bridges, to our electric grids, to green construction and things of that nature. We need to be doing all of those things, and we need to be looking to make sure that we have full employment and equality of opportunity for all people. There's so much work that needs to be done. So we can't be faint of heart. And we can't I can't lay in my bed and pull the cover over my head and say, Lord, just let me lay here for a little bit longer. I just want to sort of want to wallow in it. No, you got to get up and do what you've been called to do.
Right. Now, we're members of the African Methodist Episcopal denomination, and we're really striving for inclusiveness. And I'm really trying to teach anti-racism in the church. And I want to bring over people of all colors, ethnicities, and backgrounds. And there's a message that is going out locally, from the community and from the church. And I actually have members of my church in the AME Church that are white. How do we continue to build this inclusiveness from a societal and community based outlook from your perspective? I know the struggles that we're dealing with here, but we want this to expand with you all, our national leaders, to bring everybody together inside of this great society.
I belong to the Congressional Black Caucus, as you would expect me to, and we've been doing a lot of virtual conversations around the issue of race. We've been talking about reparations, fairness, equality, opportunity. We acknowledge the fact that, I guess within the next decade, this country is going to be probably 50% of color. And we have more in common with those who represent a minority in one way, shape, or form than we have differences. And it's going to be that unity, that coalition, that desire to be on the right side of humanity that's going to keep us going. So we need to foster our relationships. One thing about this pandemic, it has spotlighted in a way that perhaps people have not known or not been aware of before, the challenges of being non-white and being non-wealthy in this country. And so people have stood up and recognized the unfairness of that, and recognized that they can contribute to a greater humanity in this country than ever before, and that it requires their voice. It requires their contribution. It requires their demonstration sometimes, but it requires their being willing to engage in very honest conversations, Pastor, on what racism is all about, and the systemic aspects of racism, the historical aspects of racism, and how there are things that the Black community in particular experience today that go all the way back to slavery, that we've not been liberated from those things. And so we have great opportunity now to deal with people who are willing to be with us on the right side of the issues. And it takes our churches, our pastors, and our everyday people just to recognize that we have commonality.
Yes, ma'am.
We have commonality, and we have expectations of decency and respect and love.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Congresswoman Bonnie, Dr. Watson Coleman, it has been indeed a pleasure to be here with you today. And I thank you so very much for coming and giving us a piece on the importance of voting. And I really wanted the people of the church to see how much you're actually engaged on our behalf and doing this incredible work to make life better for us. We thank you so very much. To God be the glory. We send you our strength, and we really appreciate everything that you are doing.
Hey, Pastor, thank you so very much. I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. It's nice getting to know you, and I hope that I get a chance to have conversations with you in the future. I just want to give you an FYI.
Yes, ma'am.
I am blessed to have 3 ceremonial doctorates.
I saw that, yes.
But I'm not an earned doctorate, and so you kind of threw me off when you said Representative Dr. Watson Coleman. I know some people do that. I just never have. But Thank you so very much. This has been a wonderful conversation. God bless you, and God bless your congregation.
Thank you so much.